Okay, good morning, guys, and welcome to our seventh session of our subject ITAS 1. And we are now on our, let me present my screen. We are still on chapter 4. Okay, for a while. Okay, so we are now on chapter 4. We are still on chapter 4, but our topic is about using multiple try-catch block. So before that, our objective this morning are as follows: to explain the logic behind repetition structure. Number 2, design, develop appropriate algorithm with exception handling, and number 3, appreciate the use of try-catch finally. So please bear with me. Okay, so we are still on exception handling, and we are now on 12.B, and we're going to talk about 12.B and 12.A. So the topic for 12.B is about using multiple try-catch blocks. So as you can see on the code given below, that will be our activity, this one. Okay, that is coding 112.B. We are going to attempt to generate an exception in the try block and catch it in one of the multiple catch blocks. So the multiple catch blocks are used when we are not sure about the exception type and that may be generated. So the remedy for this is to write different blocks to tackle any type of the exception that is encountered. And then the finally block is the part of the code that has to be executed irrespective of the exception that was generated or not. So in the program below, the elements of array are displayed in the finally block. Okay, so this is a continuation of our topic last time on array, no? And as we can see, or as we can recall, ang array is a loop statement within a loop statement. So you have a loop statement within the body of the program. At the same time, you have a baby loop inside the loop. So may loop siya, then may baby loop pag sa sulod. And those are the condition statements that needed to be run on an array. Okay? So on the syntax, you can see on the syntax you have the try, and then the statement inside, and then the catch for the specific exception or the type of an object that is presented there. So that goes to the saying that anything or any code that is being put on the catch block is encoded there. And then the handler code. So the same process, since we talk about that the array has a looping statement within the looping statement. So as you can see, there's a repeating code catch, another specific exception type or object, and the handler code. And then afterwards, so on and so forth, until finally, you have a precondition to terminate the program. So that is the syntax. Now, this is the function of example 12.B. And you can see here on coding 112.B. So let me explain first the code. Medyo malawig ang code. So this one, this is a program to show of the use of multiple try-catch blocks. So still we are going to use the system, and then we're going to propagate the class as a program. Then we are going to use the static void main for string. So take note that for string, ang string daya guys is a combination of letters and numbers. The definition for a string is a combination of letters and numbers. So whereas ang iyang body of the program is declared as an integer, and then you have an array statement which has the values of 19, 0, 75, and 52. Then you're going to try it and generate an exception. So for the generation of the extension, generation of the extension, you can see here that the for statement for an integer has an incremental value. So the incremental value is preceded by the I value, which is less than the array or the length. Then afterwards, the value that is being put for that integer value starting from 0 is put into the console, and it is being derived into the array. And finally, the catch block for the invalid array access can be found on the exception or the index. So the same thing ang sa dalom niya. So as you can see, there are actually 3 catches, this one, and this one. So the first catch is the index of range for an exception. The second catch is the divided by 0 exception. And the third catch is the argument out of the range exception. Mga exceptions na sila, guys. Then finally, for the final statement, this is empowered with your integer value, which is similar to your for statement. Okay, so let me copy this, and ang first part lang anay. Okay, so I don't know if this will be successful kay ang line nanda ano na naton sa may ano. Oh, hindi niyo makita guys yung ano ko din no sa babaw kay ang ginagamit ko tulad is ang computer diya sa school. So ang nga screen hindi kalabot sa babaw. Pero ano ko doon diyan ang sa tab button here pwede niyo man gyapon makita diyan. This one, what we're going to do is to go to the to online IDE, no? Then we're going to use code chef. Then afterwards, okay, so we're going to change this to C#. Then paste this. Ang in-paste ko nga daya is okay, happy fiesta sa taga Kabugaw. Hey, padayunan nyo lang dyan guys, lecture pa man kami Okay, so ang first part kung gin-copy natin is this one. Copyahon natin anay ang second part, and then afterwards ano natin kay add-on natin yung statements. Okay? So, ang second part is this one. And ano nyo lang siya panaogon. Then, I'm sorry. Ano nyo liwat guys. Siguraduhan nyo nga makopy nyo siya. So, copy this. And then paste it here. Okay. So, I think we are missing one more may kulang kita nga isa ka close statement. Okay, so nantawan ninyo itmayad guys ang structure niya. Okay, we are going to start this one pasakaon lang naton daya ang e-message nga daya guys kay na ano na siya na one line siya dapat lang. So the same thing sa dia. And ang last is this one. Okay? So more or less copy paste. Pero I suggest instead of copying you are going to what's this gonna encode this. Okay? Then afterwards, run the program. Okay, so this one. The output is an exception has occurred and attempted to divide by 0. So, amo gagawa na. So, ang value 19, 0, 75, 52. So, this will be your answer, your output. Okay? So, that is ang, ano naton, ang topic sa 11B, which is, 12B, I mean, which is using multiple try-catch blocks. Okay? Okay. So, let's go to activity 11.C. Ang 11 point I'm sorry 12.C medyo na-confuse ako. So ang 12.C nato nga topic is called your user defined exception. So what is this user defined exception? This is the these are useful when we want to code an exception that may not be defined by the language. So ano example na? Like for example, in a broiler room, mangkutan nyo yung mga seaman ninyong kilala, may mga broiler room da sanda. Ang broiler room is ang sa engine na siya. So if the temperature rises above the threshold, ang threshold is ang limit nanda, then the heat must be turned off. So for understanding how user-defined exception, we used to take an example of a division by zero. So sa broiler room, ang example niya, or panumduman lang ninyo ang ang sarakyan ninyo or motor ninyo, kundi sa kilometrahe na kagsaan nga ang odometer, kung analog day example yung motor mo badja or mga daan nga model no nga analog nga odometer. So may kita mo kada diyan nga dang pula nga limit na. So sa barko amo man day sa broiler room sa may engine na may limit day nga cap sa engine. So dapat ya engine hindi mag-init nga magsulod sa tong pula nga limit. Hay kung maglabot na to, hindi masarangan ka makina nga maggana. So if the temperature rises above the threshold, ang threshold ganda is ang limit nga ang pula nga then the heat must be turned off. So ano na sa programming, no? Relation na sa programming kadang example naton. So this is for understanding how user-defined exception we take an example of a division by zero. So ang imo naton day is we're going to define a class divisible by zero that inherits the exception, and it is called by division operation function. So when the denominator is equal to zero. So kasi mathematics ninyo guys sa fractions bala numerator kag denominator, ang anang dalong is your denominator. So ang denominator niyo kuno is equal to zero, meaning to say over zero siya. So since the call of the function is may or may not throw an exception, it is placed on a try block, and a catch block is defined to catch the exception of the type exception, and the message property prints the type of exception that has occurred. So more or less, this one for the user-defined exception is the limitations for divisible by zero. So as ang example nato ng broiler room or any aspect related gila sa programming, no? Nga ang divisible by zero is a user-defined exception. So hindi nyo kung sa mathematics ninyo kung simple lang pag-intindi, any number divided by zero is zero dapat, no? Pero there are variables that you are going to consider for the zero function to propagate within the exception. So amo di ang ginatawag nga exception kay hindi siya sunod sa normal. Exception gani. So hindi ang normal nga tendency nga makita naton sa isa ka bata, isa ka application. So that is useful sa programming ang user-defined exception. Now to illustrate better in programming what is user-defined exception, here is our code, medyo malawig. Okay? I think ang code nyo dyan, may sugpon. Okay, so two more. May missing siya guys nga I think two close parentheses later on. Okay? So this one, so for coding 112, this is the program to show the user-defined exception. And still, we're going to use system for user-defined exception class. And we're going to use also the child of exception. What is a child of exception? A child of exception is your class divisible by zero. So this one, your class divisible by 0 exception. This is declared as divisible by 0. So it is exemption. It is an exception. And we have the constructor for this. You will notice that you have public divisible by 0, meaning ginbalik niya ang propagation ka number sa 0 nga number. So makita ninyo console right, meaning may magwa karon sa output ng exception na occurred. And you have a double denominator for the different value for divisible by 0. Now the condition is this one. If the denominator no is equivalent to 0, then we have the throw new divisible by 0 value. Otherwise, return the result of the division to 0 gyapon. So you have here return numerator denominator, and for the main value to function, you have the static void main back to 0 na siya. So lantaw nato yung output na kung paano. So what we're going to do is to copy paste again anay for the meantime. Okay, so don't forget ang duwa ka close parentheses. So copy this. Then we're going to go to the online compiler. Okay, i-ano natin anay ang delete natin ang kikina natin nga ano, then i-paste this. Then afterwards sa dalong you have to press enter no, and you're going to put there close parentheses. Duwa ka bilog guys. Kay duwa ka bilog ang na-erase to ya sa dalong. Now let's inspect the code kung may dyan nga okay, so this one nanaog siya no, double denominator, so pasakaon naton siya. Amo mo lang da nakita ko nga error ang sa double numerator double denominator. Ang just dalong mo ay na. So kadto kita and pangitaon naton ang double numerator double denominator. So amo lang da pasakaon ta. Kaya dapat nakaisa ka lang siya kadang isa lang sila dapat ka line. So line 14. Kung makita nyo naka-line sa line 14 siya na belong. Na maskin mo siya na parapiton or Then press run and see what happens. Okay, as you can see here, you have the program CS error and an expected end of file compilation filed error warning. So we have an error here. Pangitaon natin yung error. Kaya dapat yung magwa guys, exception has occurred. So why it exception nga nag-occur. So there might be some error. Okay. So try and catch. Okay, why naman itsog po na abil mo? But anyway guys, sige, okay lang da. Okay, if you encountered this output, I will consider
sir.
Yes?
May kulang.
Oo, may kulang siya. May kulang
May
sa I think ang kulang man lang guys, diyan man lang ang close parentheses duha ka bilog. What if dugangan naton ka isa pa gid guro no. Try lang base maggana siya. Nautod abi ako sa naton mo sa module. Ti da dun. Ara na. Tatlo gali guys, instead kaduwa ka close parentheses, tatlo gali ka close parentheses ang nabutang. So para nga mag-run. Okay, so kita nyo naman status niya guys. So you successfully executed. So it means that the exception has occurred and the exception of type divisible by 0 was thrown. Okay? So amo lang da guys yung nagali. So may kulang kita isa pa ka. Dapat tatlo siya ka close parentheses. Kung i-copy paste nyo sa dang diyan naton, kulang siya. So isa, dua, then isa pa dapat. Okay. So that is all for this morning guys. I think that is all. we have two topics for this morning. Ang dia, which is using multiple try-catch blocks sa 12.b. And ang last natin nga topic is ang sa user-defined exceptions. So, next meeting, I think sa number 8 na session natin, we are now on chapter 5. So, we are going to use the module 5 of the text of the module na. So, bago lang kita ka module. For this week, you still have to use the number 4 module na. Okay? So, 4 pa lang ka module. I think hopefully we can have another example sa sa masunod natin ng mga activity. Okay? Siguro I'm going to stop let me change the layout. I-tile ko siya so that I can count. Okay, so thank you guys for attending. Duro ka mo do karon. 1 2 3 4 5 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 people attending our session for this morning. I know nga pista gali sa pista gali sa Kabuga. I'm sorry, way ko kumaan. Pero medyo na delay ang session naton kagina just because may gin-attender pa ko kay ina nga sa grades ka third year, no. So there are queries about their grades, so na-delay aton nga lecture. Supposedly we're going to start our class at 9 a.m. But gamay man lang ang lesson naton for this morning, duwa man lang ka activity. And the topic that we have is still on repetition structure. So basically that is the continuation lang ang kang nagligad pagyud, no. Kay last week, Holy Week, wa kita class. And ginpadayon lang naton ang sa repetition structures, which is ang sa 12.b and 12.c nga example. So we have another topic next meeting, and I was reluctant to have a class right now because nalipatan ko yung laptop ko sa balay, but namedyosan man. So I'm using the laptop, desktop, and then ginapagi ko lang guys sa cellphone niya, microphone ko. So miyad man hiti na tigayon. May mga apps lang kung ginagamit. So FreeCam and Android what's this gani? Android cam client to facilitate the class using the desktop. Pero I'm still using the Wi-Fi, so it's okay. So are there any questions regarding our activity? Okay, sige. So happy festa lang dyan sa Kabugao and good morning gid sa tanan, no? I-print screen ko lang guys para sa attendance ninyo this morning. Oops, sorry. Okay, so print screen ko lang Okay. Then
thank you, sir.
Okay, we're welcome guys. Okay do guys, you can yes.
Upod kami ni Christian tandod sir, wala sa load.
Okay, sige. Ginaano ko pa attendance nito karo ginay. Mo si Christian, no? Okay.
Alin na sir, naka-connect na ko. Naka-connect na ko yan. Dili ko sa kwarto subong.
Okay. Sige. I-take note ko man gyapon, sige. Para nga So this is Turing guys, no? Wait lang 8 session. 7, I'm sorry. BSIT 1 Turing. Then okay. Save ko lang. Okay, so thank you very much guys for attending our class this morning, and hopefully next meeting we have a new topic. So please I will upload this to your to YouTube later on so that you can your classmates can see this Then I will hold another class on Thursday sa Hopper. So if you have classmates sa Hopper, you can tell them that we have class Thursday. So sige guys, thank you very much for attending our class. I think that is all. If you want to watch again the video so that you can, if you have missed something on the activity, kay utod aton nga ang ang module naton, ang example naton. So don't forget ang sa 11.b you have to add kopera to kabilog. But ang sa katapusan tatlo gito ka close brace. I think duwa sa 11.b if I'm not mistaken. Kag tatlo sa 12.c. Okay? Okay, so before we leave, do you have any questions or clarifications regarding our activity for this morning? Okay, if you will notice, medyo nagalawig doon yung programming naton. That is because nga sa kada example, medyo nagadalom doon ang discussion naton. So we'll try our best nga hindi do kita have sa mga code nga examples nga medyo malawig-lawig gawa. So, ang dokaron nga example, I think that is good na for Piraka lines. No? Just like ang sa 11.c, I think mga sobra siya 20 lines na. So, more or less, dayan lang. Kung mag-sobra, actually, mag-encode ka mo, medyo mabudlay. Pero kung ginang-copy-paste lang, anay, okay lang siya. Hindi nyo pagsundon yung copy-pasting, guys. Kung I suggest, i-encode nyo gid siya. Kung gusto niyo matuto gid mag-coding. Medyo excited lang ko karang lunes kagapon, abi ko may face-to-face blow. Nagbalik doon niya kay why man madayon yung schedule nato, no. So false alarm pa. Standby lang gid mo sa kung mga announcements kay para ma-inform ka mo balahaw. Kag hindi magruya di sa eskwelahan. Pero more or less, guys, I appreciate your attendance because nag-attend gid kamo ka klase niyo. So regarding sa kung ano man nga problem sa programming ninyong activity, please don't forget to PM or you have questions right now, do I man gid, no? Kung wala doon, I think that is all for this morning. Medyo malawig doon yung klase naton. Hindi ko man gusto nga magdugay kay medyo may mga ginaobra pa man di sa school. If you can hear some noises or some sounds, it is because I'm still here sa school and I forgot my laptop, so I'm still using my phone. That is why medyo lain gawa ya sound. Gani ko kagina if sa classmate nyo kung ang sulod ko bala medyo sa garak. Kay I know nga ang phone ko nga daya guba, so hindi man nami ang microphone. So if you want to watch again the video, please do so that you can get the glimpse of our topic. Especially that we have the programming subject, no? So mabudlay nga hindi nyo maintindihan niya line or ang meaning kay isa ka line. Kay lang pag-explain mo nato na ang line by line nga ka topic. I don't know lang if you can understand it better. Medyo mabudlayan lang. I prefer, guys, that we have face-to-face kay mas ma-explain ko at mayad ang line sa program. But anyway, as you can see, nagadalom dun yung topic natin. Medyo galawig-lawig lugawa. Yes, James. Ayan, James, what is your question?
Ma-upload ka pa, sir, sa GR lang. Sir.
Oo, i-upload natin daya, guys. I-upload ko dyan after ka dyan nga klase. Parang hindi ko malipatan kay ang sa balay, so that you can watch again or probably can refer this to your classmates. So enjoy your morning. I think that is all. Happy Fiesta Barangay Kabugaw lang. I know some of you there nagabulig doon ka pag
Bye, sir.
Sige, bye-bye guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, good. Ko lang guys end ko dun yung session natin. Okay. Sige, para dasig. Bye-bye.